For the first time in years, he walked away a completely free man, no longer, and not that he was in prison, but not facing all of these charges against him. That is part of the reason why I'm going to say what he is doing here is an enormous mistake. Why I think what he's doing is not a wise decision. So let's take a look real quickly at the article about Alec Baldwin planning to sue the Santa Fe prosecutor. Now, here's what they're talking about. He has not yet sued anybody. It isn't like he's sued the prosecutor, he's filed a complaint. They aren't currently in suit together. What he did instead was file something specific. He filed a preservation notice. Let's take a look at this. So in a pair of preservation notices mailed Monday and obtained by Rolling Stone, Baldwin's lawyers told both the Santa Fe prosecutor, Kerry Morrissey, and Sheriff Aiden Mendoza to preserve all relevant information in your possession, custody, and/or control. A preservation notice is where you tell the other side, I'm either considering or planning on suing you, and you need to save the evidence, because if you lose that evidence, if it's gone, I may not be able to make my case against you. So I'm warning you that I'm about to sue you, and you can't destroy the evidence against you. Something, for example, where Brian Higgins was not subject to a preservation notice, remember, in the Karen Reed case when he threw out his phone. So this preservation notice would tell the other side, we need you to save all of the evidence, all of the information you have. Alec Baldwin obviously wants to look at the discussion between Prosecutor Morrissey and the sheriff's office about whether or not they needed to save the bullets that had been brought in. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Here's what they told them they needed to do. They told them specifically, we request that you immediately take all necessary steps, including preserving all devices, hard drives, emails, text messages, and other electronic communications, to preserve any and all documents, records, electronically stored information, and other materials and data existing in any form whatsoever that are actually or potentially relevant or relate in any way to the investigations and or prosecutions conducted by the state. So what they're saying is, take a look at all of the stuff we're requesting, and you better save that, because if you don't, we are going to ask the court to rule against you. We're going to ask the court to sanction you. We're going to ask the court to give you liability, and we're going to do all of that if you destroy any of this evidence we've asked for. So that's what they're requesting. They're saying save all of this. It's different from a lawsuit, but it's what you might do in advance if you plan to bring a lawsuit. So he is giving a hint, I'm planning to sue you. Now let's talk about what he might sue about, and we're also going to talk about what else he would need in order to sue. So we don't, obviously from this, have any real detail about what exactly Alec Baldwin would sue about. It isn't like he attached the complaint or he told us what he was going to be charging them with. He did say preserve all relevant information in your possession, custody, and or control, which is kind of ironic since the whole issue was that they were accused of not providing relevant information. So now they have to decide again what's relevant or what's not. So let's talk about why his case was dismissed and how this would kind of relate to this preservation notice. So the reason his case was dismissed, as I said, was that he accused the prosecutor of withholding evidence. He said that bullets that were brought in by a third party, not connected directly to the rest set, this person brought in bullets and said, these may match the bullets that were on the set. They may match the bullets that were on the set that were mixed in live and dummy rounds in a single box. The defense, Alec Baldwin's team, believed those bullets came from Seth Kinney, who was supplying guns and bullets for the set of Rust. And they believe that's where those came from. That is also where the other set of bullets came from. So the idea would be, if they match and they both came from Seth Kinney, then this would prove that the ones on the set came from Seth Kinney, that those very ones that were mixed live and dummy came from Seth Kenney. And if that's the case, if these were both from Seth Kenney, then what that will show us is that this is the defense talking. What that will show us is that Seth Kenney may have engaged in sabotage. Seth Kenney may be behind sabotaging the set of Rust. And he did this in order to get, this is their argument, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, the armorer, fired. The fact that he did this, the fact that he would mix these bullets was all part of his way of getting to her and making sure she got fired. That was the argument they wanted to make. But without those bullets, obviously their argument was much, much weaker. And so the judge wanted to say to, excuse me, so they told the judge these should have been produced. How are we just finding out now about these bullets that clearly should have been produced to us a good time ago? And the judge said, you're right. You should have found out about these. Now, Carrie Morrissey, the prosecutor, said, these aren't relevant. I looked at them. They weren't the same, and they're not relevant. They aren't connected. These didn't come from the set of Rust. So just because they came from Seth Kenney, that doesn't connect them to the set of Rust. And she said, I never had a duty to present these. We also learned on Friday during the questioning that these bullets were logged under a completely different case number. They weren't even logged under Alec Baldwin's case. What that meant was that Alec Baldwin's team had no way to find them, had no way to trace them, and to say, oh, look, we're missing something. These bullets ought to be here. Instead, they were logged under a different case number, and so when Alec Baldwin's team came in to see all the evidence connected to the case, it did not include those bullets. They were off in this other case file number. So now, what Alec Baldwin is suggesting he would do, because, and let's finish the story, the judge dismissed all of the charges against Alec Baldwin. Huge surprise win in the middle of trial. Nobody was expecting that. That was what was presented. That is what he won huge on Friday. And you could see the relief in his face. I mean, he was in tears, his wife hugging him. It was unbelievable relief that this was over, that now the charges are dismissed with prejudice, meaning the prosecutor can't file again. Now, I have not researched specifically California, and I don't practice in New Mexico, and I don't practice in New Mexico, but typically a prosecutor could appeal a decision like a dismissal for this ground. It would be possible to appeal, but it was with prejudice, so if the appeal is lost, there's no refiling. The prosecutor can't file that case again. So in this particular case, Carrie Morrissey would not be able to refile the charges against Alec Baldwin. And it's extremely unlikely that she would win on appeal. So it was just a huge day for Alec Baldwin. That leads into my next point, which is, let's talk about why it is that he would file suit. Obviously, he is very upset that he was prosecuted, that he came that close to having to serve potentially 18 months in prison, that he had to spend money to hire attorneys, that he had to spend years of his life thinking about this with it hanging over his head. For all of those reasons, he would be angry, he would have losses, he would have real damages. It's not just pretend. Things actually happen to him because of this, in terms of his reputation, in terms of his own personal finances. All of those sorts of things happen. So granted, that is all true, that he suffered in that sense a loss there. Those would be reasons why he might consider actually suing. I'm trying to do sort of the pros and cons for you here. So the pros would be vindication, revenge, get back the actual damages that you've lost. But, and this is my view, on the con side, there are simply enormous cons to this. First of all, it opens a can of worms. He won. He won miraculously, and he did not win on the merits. He won on the idea that this piece of evidence was withheld from him and should not have been. It's called a Brady violation. So This evidence should have been in his back pocket. He should have been able to prepare his case. He should have been able to prepare his cross-examination of witnesses. He didn't get to do any of that. So for that reason, he clearly should have had the evidence, and the judge was clear on that. The judge said, absolutely, you should have gotten this evidence, so much so that I am dismissing the whole case against you. And it's a serious problem for the prosecution. I don't want to minimize that or anything of the sort. But as far as it being something that he sues over, he is opening up all of this stuff again. All of that time he put in, all of that money he put in, the depositions he'll have to sit for, all of that is now open again. All of the stress of that again. He may feel like he has momentum going into this, but it will be a very stressful, long process. It will be expensive, and the chances that he wins are not fantastic because of the fact that it wasn't technically on the merits. It was a serious violation that these bullets were withheld from him, enough so that the judge took action. But I don't think it would be, I think it will be a hard case to win civilly if he sues. I don't think it's impossible, especially because he'll frankly come in with more money than the prosecution will have probably. So he'll probably have a better chance in many ways at prosecuting that. All right, I am going to try. Remember, I don't know what I'm doing in this new set. I'm going to try to, oh, here we go. There, yes, okay. No, that's not working. Oh, there we go. Oh, Matthew saying I was a little nervous there'd be no live stream. Thank you for restoring order to my Wednesday night. Well, thank you, Matthew. And I am sorry for the delay. I've been trying to figure out how to do this system. I'm not in my usual spot, as you can see, so things are a little bit different. I'm trying to, like, I keep like drifting off the side of the screen, and wait, let's try to come back on the screen. There we go. It just doesn't seem right. So anyway, there I am, better on the screen, I think. All right, so I would like to get some questions and see what questions y'all have going on. I also, I think, was running a poll, but I don't see any way to get the results of this poll. So I don't know what to say. Tell me, did you see a poll when you first came in? I thought I did a poll. Oh, wait, yes, it's 77%. Oh, there we go. So I did get a result on the poll. So the poll I'd asked was, do you think that the judge should have dismissed the charges against Alec Baldwin? And 77% of you say yes, the judge was correct to dismiss those charges against Alec Baldwin. So that's interesting. I was wondering about that. While I have the chance to do a poll, there is a poll I have always wanted to ask y'all about. I'm going to just, this will take me just a minute to type, but I've been dying to know your opinion, and no, it's not related to Alec Baldwin. So put your questions in, and be sure to put question marks at the beginning. And whether I find stuff tonight or not, we'll just see. But I have been dying to ask you this, so let's see if I can get it in there. I just want to know your opinion on this, because many of y'all followed with me on the Murdoch case. That's what I wanted to know. So I'm trying to start a poll. Oh, no, it's not working. Darn it. I really did want to know what y'all thought. Did y'all think that Alec Baldwin was guilty or not? No, that's not what I want to do. Well, I don't see any way to do this. I clicked start a poll and nothing happened. So I guess I can't do that. So instead, we'll just head over. I'll close that out, and I'll just see what questions y'all have. And Matthew, I would so put your chat up if I knew how to do that. It only gives me the choice of putting you in timeout, and I have no reason to put you in timeout. So I don't know how to do that. Sorry, we'll have to learn. There's a lot I have to learn about this, and I don't know how often I'll stream from this setup anyway. But I saw that Marlon has been a member for 5 months, so we must have just hit the 5-month mark. So that's fantastic. 5 months. We were very late to having members, but it's been a lot of fun. I'm so glad that we did that. And we've been using the emojis that Marlon made. We had a fantastic live stream with members last week. That was just a really good time. I really had a lot of fun. I like getting all the input from people on kind of a smaller basis. It's just been great. Okay, so I'm looking for question marks at the beginning. Oh, somebody's missing the background lights. Yes, it's no background lights here. Sorry about that. I'm glad that you do like the background lights, though. I like those too. It took about 6 months after I started doing the lights for anyone to notice that I'd matched them to my shirt for 6 solid months, and no one said anything. I don't know if it really mattered, but it meant something to me. I figured my grandmother would have been very pleased with the matching. Tooker wants to know if I think Alec Baldwin has an anger management problem. I don't know. I have no idea about that. I don't know anything much about him personally. I'm late. Is Baldwin suing? Ducati Girl says, what an idiot. You can watch Bat Ducati Girl. I also disagree. I think it's a huge mistake. It opens a can of worms, and I don't think it's going to help him. I mean, I think he got the best possible result. If he were my client, I would say, go home, thank your lucky stars, live the rest of your life knowing it's gone, it's over, and never think about it again. That's what I would tell him. Okay. So let's see. I'm looking for the question marks at the beginning. Is there a low-grade tribal drum beat to this live stream? Oh, dear. That is bad. I hope not. That doesn't sound good. Okay. So, Maria Z, you missed the background lights. Yes, I know. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for asking. Sound is great. Oh, good. Well, it's probably a better microphone than I have a pretty good microphone, I thought, but I just never have seemed to totally been able to maximize the use of it. Okay. Leona asking me, do you think Hannah will be released from jail or get a new trial? I think that she will be released from jail. I think it will be difficult for them to keep her in jail, and it's just an 18-month sentence. And when I say just, what I mean is by the time you get through the new trial process, it'll be 18 months. It will be difficult for her to serve that sentence and receive any benefit. So I think it's very likely to be decided. Her lawyer filed something recently, and I'm planning to take a look at that. If y'all are interested, let me know. So if you would like another live stream on whether Hannah Gutierrez read, what you think about that, let me know. I would be interested in maybe doing something on that. Okay, so I'm looking for the question marks at the beginning, which is my only hope of seeing that in this new setup. It's my only hope normally anyway. But let's see. I'm looking for. Oh, wait. Maybe I know there's no way I've answered all the questions. I obviously started too late. Okay, so let me go back up. Remember question marks at the beginning. What has been your favorite case to cover? That is a great question, Sheena, and I would say Alec Murdaugh. Boy, was that an interesting case. But it is kind of hard to pick. So there are a bunch that are really, really interesting. And if I could figure out that poll, I bet I know. I have to end the poll, and then I can start a new one. I bet. Huh? Oh, it's working. Okay, this was my question. I want to hear this. Was Alec Murdaugh guilty of murder? Okay, we got a yes and no. I am starting that poll. I have been dying to know what y'all thought of that. I have been wondering, kind of percentage-wise, what people thought of that on my channel. So, okay, there were 722 votes on the first one. So thank you for voting, everybody. Migs I wants to know, do you think we'll ever find out what happened to Jennifer Dulos? No, I guess not, but it's a shame. What a triple shame that is. Okay, I need to thank somebody. How do I? Oh, wait, there we go. Okay, Paige McLean, thank you for gifting 5 Lawyer Lee memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. Oh, wow. Okay, we're coming in heavy. I'm not going to end the poll yet, but we are coming in heavy on the Alec Murdaugh guilty. If you haven't voted yet, go ahead and lock in your vote. Oh, it's dropping a little. Doesn't look like a 50-50 split. We'll just say that. And while we're at it, since I don't normally I can't do polls in my streaming service, so this is like our one shot. And I may switch and do this because I really would like to do polls with y'all more, but I can't set up the next poll until we get until we finish this one. So I'll give it another, I don't know, few seconds while we talk about things or I answer questions. So thank you, Paige. And if I could figure out how to show yours, would that work? Over here. Remove, Nope. I don't know how to put it on screen, Paige. I'm sorry. I will just say thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, and so I'm looking for, we're at 85. Did Alex give Hannah any help? And I guess you mean, did Alec Baldwin give Hannah Gutierrez Reed any help? I don't think so. She was slated to testify against him, but the understanding was she wasn't. And by that I mean she was being brought in to testify as a prosecution witness, but she was not, from what we heard, actually going to testify. She was going to take the fifth, is what we were told. Okay, so I'm going to shut last votes. Go ahead and get in your votes quick on the Alec Murdaugh, because I'm going to shut it down in just a minute, and we will have our permanent record of what people on the channel thought about Alec Murdaugh. Okay, Mandy Pohl, what do you think, if anything, will happen to the other prosecutor that did not quit? And that's a really interesting question and point for two reasons. One is that the one prosecutor quit the morning of this hearing and said she wasn't being listened to. She felt like she was new to the case. This should have been produced, and therefore the prosecutors ought to voluntarily dismiss the case. That's what she told various news outlets. The prosecutor who was handling the case went through the whole day of hearing, even put herself on the stand and testified that she believed these were not connected, not related, and she didn't feel like they had to produce these bullets in the first place. It was okay, in other words, to move them, to assign them to this other case number. So as far as that prosecutor, I do think there will probably be some kind of consequences. I believe something will be filed. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that happen. I don't know that there will be a decision that there was anything with what she did that was inappropriate. That'll be for other people to decide down the road. But I do think that probably it will at least be presented to the bar or some other organization, and then we'll just find out what they think about it and whether they think it was improper. It certainly did seem like when it came out during the hearing that the prosecutor had been involved in the decision to assign a different case number, that was a really huge deal. And I felt like that was a bombshell moment. It was the judge who asked the question. It wasn't Alec Baldwin's side. The judge said, was Prosecutor Morrissey involved in that? Yes, said the witness. Wow, that was a big surprise. Okay, so for all the marbles, the answer on was Alec Murdaugh guilty, 83% of you believe he was guilty of murder. All right, I have really been wondering about that. So we're going to end that poll. And Cutley, thank you so much for your super chat. I really appreciate that. And let me go ahead, and I'm going to ask you, because this is my big shot here. Do you think, okay, let's see, do you think, that is not the word you, I'm a little nervous. Do you think Michelle Troconis was guilty? Okay, been wondering that too. What do y'all think of that? So we're going to start that poll, and I am very curious. What do you think? So I am surprised a little bit at the percentage on the Alec Baldwin case, but not way surprised. I thought it would maybe be in the 75% guilty, 25% not range, or maybe 80%. So, but y'all were all the way up on that one. Y'all are like, yep, he's guilty. He's guilty. Oh, interesting so far. Coming in way less on the Michelle. Thank you. Cutley is saying she is still loving the show, and she came in late, so she's going to head back and watch the start. So, well, thank you, Cutley, for being here. Really appreciate it. And we were late, too, starting the show. So, I have not figured out how to put these on screen. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that next time I try it. Okay, so I am going to close that out somehow, I hope. Okay, here we go. Okay, we are running. I don't know what. If you haven't locked in your vote, I'm going to give you a few more seconds to lock in your vote on did you think Michelle Troconis was guilty? Do we dare do Karen Reed? What do you think? That might be interesting. Karen Reed. That case, of course, not resolved yet. Right now, she is still fighting to get those 2 charges dismissed. She filed her reply brief just 2 days ago, yesterday, and the reply brief said, we may cover it. If you want to cover that on the channel, would you let me know? Would you put in the comments or the chat? Yes, I'd like to cover the reply brief. It's where her lawyers are saying, yes, we really do believe you should dismiss counts 1 and counts 3 against Karen Reed. Okay, so I'm about to lock it out. Go ahead on Michelle Troconis. It is looking like, okay, we're going to lock it out. Last vote's coming in. Last vote, people voting really fast. It's okay. Now we're going to end it. Okay, 72% of you think that Michelle Troconis was guilty. That is interesting because that's less, way less than Alec Murdaugh. So very, very interesting on that. We covered it in detail. So those of you voting, I know that you know all about the case. You are not just, you're not just blowing smoke on that. You know a lot about it. All right, so let's do this. Ooh, this will be controversial. Marlon and Mama Pinks, our moderators, be like, no, don't ask that. Maybe I could make it, do you think Karen Reed is guilty? I'm going to make that a little. You know what? And I should have put this on the others. Well, let's leave it this. Do you think she's guilty? Yes or no? Oh, this will be controversial. Let's see what happens. Okay, everybody. Lock in your votes. What do you think? Karen Reed, guilty or not guilty? So, oh, wow. Jumping in a bunch of votes really fast. I've always wanted to do this. I've been wondering, what do you think? And I try to do the 1s and the 2s in the chat, and that gives me some idea. But a lot of times it can be hard to gauge. Are there more 1s or more 2s? Especially, you know me, when I throw in a 3 or a 4, then it's especially difficult. Okay, so, it's not universal. It is not universal. Okay. Although it looks like we're running heavily on, we are running on 82% so far are thinking not guilty for Karen Reed. Total opposite of what we saw on on Alec Murdaugh. Total opposite on that. So, let's see. Yeah, I agree on somebody. Where did it go? Okay, here we go. Rue saying, as my mom in Louisiana would say to Alec Baldwin, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yep, I totally agree with you. That is exactly my view. He just got something huge. I mean, this is a gift. This is absolutely a gift. And it was due to hard work. I'm not saying it wasn't that, but it was not a done deal. It was not something he could know in advance he would get. He is off the hook on something really big that was life-changing, really, to spend that time in prison away from his family. It was obviously very stressful when you watch the reaction he had to learning these charges against him were going to be dismissed. So I agree with you, Rue. I'm with you on that. Okay, so we now are at Karen Reed, not guilty, 81%. Okay, I was just curious. It really does kind of help me to know, what are people thinking? What is the way that you're perceiving things in these cases? So this is absolutely fascinating for me. And we may do some more polling on Friday. So if you have some ideas for polls, I'll try to put up a post, and I'll put that in the community post section. So then you can go ahead and put that ideas for what polls we could do on Friday, because it is a super lot of fun. I'm really enjoying seeing what your opinions are. So I'm going to save Chad Daybell. I'm going to save that, and we will do that. Yeah, 8:08. Of course, I don't know how long we've been going since we started at a very late time. Well, let's see. Okay, we're going to leave that one. We're going to end the poll at 81% not guilty on Karen Read, which does mean 19% were voting guilty. So, and some of you may think, well, I should have. Oh, Mama Pink says she hit the wrong button. She thought it said innocent. Uh-oh. Mama Pink, you're throwing off our numbers here. What are we going to do with that? Well, I think it probably was enough people voting that I think we'll be okay. Okay, so we've got... thank you, Lee, for your great diplomatic and thorough and fun coverage. Thank you, Spence. I appreciate that. What a nice super chat. Thank you. And 2 of them. Thank you. I appreciate the double super chat with the nice message. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun for me, too. I've always wanted to do polls just to kind of... It feels more like communicating, more like we're talking. So I really do like that part. It's a lot of fun. All right, so I am going to end the stream. Do not forget, thank you to Marlon. Thank you to Mama Pinks, who do so much for us as our moderators. I am going to see y'all at 7 p.m. on Friday. Well, hopefully, roughly 7 p.m. Hopefully, we'll be able to do a little better than today. 7 p.m. Eastern, and we will have some more polls. So don't forget to look for that community post. And per usual, I forgot to ask you to like and subscribe. So please do like and subscribe, and I will see you Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern.